Okay, now we will discuss one by one layout type. You know that in previous video series we have discussed that which are the types of the layout. We have to study basic for layout, border layout, card layout, flow layout, and grid layout. Today we will discuss about the border layout. Here is the outline. Border layout. See, the border layout is basically inbuilt contain the five region based on the direction north, south, east, west, and center. And each region or area contain only one component. That means in north direction, one button should be added or one text field should be added. In south direction, one button or one text field should be added. In east direction, one button, one text field should be arranged. In west direction, one button, one text field should be arranged. In center direction, one. That means you can arrange total five component in different five region. Basically, it is a default layout for frame and window. According to your layout, there are the five constant for each region: north, south, east, west, and center. Make sure it should be in capital. Now there are the two basic constructor for border layout. As you know that each class contain a default constructor. Here border layout is a default constructor in which there is not any horizontal and vertical gap between the component. Second constructor is a parameterized constructor in which there is a two parameter, one for horizontal gap and another for vertical gap. Now we will understand the program. We have already studied the steps for the program and you know that how to write the steps for the program. Here is the steps and we are performing program based on these steps. So for clear understanding, just we can set the parallel screen and one screen is this. We are moving this screen over here, just minimizing it. So you will clear get idea about it, what we are doing in this program. I hope the parallel screen is visible to each and everyone. Now, first step is that we are performing the practical for border layout. Now, what you need to do, you need to first import the two basic package for any layout, which is the first package is import java.awt.star. Second package is import java x dot swing dot star. Here step number one is completed. Now step number two is create your own class because we are writing the program for border layout. So I am creating the class border. And as you know that after creating the class, you need to just do the opening and closing square bracket of the class. Third step, in your own class, create the default constructor of your class and perform next step number 4 to 9. That means first we need to create the default constructor inside the border class. So as you know that constructor name is same as the class name and it do not contain any kind of return type. So I have created the default constructor. Now my next step number 4 to 5 is performing inside the default constructor which is border over here. Now next step number 4 is create the object of JFrame class. So I am just creating the object of JFrame class. We have already discussed the some basic method of JFrame class in previous video. So I am just doing this. I have created the JF is my object name and JFrame is my class name. Next, make the button by creating the object of JButton class. Here I am taking the button example as a component. So I am creating the 5 button. For that, I have created the object of JButton class. and I have given the label of that button or name of that button is a B1. Same way, I need to create remaining 4 buttons by just changing the name of button. Here B2 label will become the B2. B3 button label will become the B3. B4 button label will become the B4. And one another button is B5. Now new J button B5. See, as you notice that here I have created the 5 button B1, B2, B3, B4, B5 which labeled respectively B1, B2, B3, B4 and B5. Now step number 5 is completed. Step number 6 is set the layout by using the set layout method. Here we need to set the layout. Now set layout method is also the JFrame class. So we are using the object of JFrame. I want to set the basic border layout without horizontal and vertical gap. So I am writing that new border layout. As you notice that here I am using the default constructor of border layout class because I don't want to provide the horizontal and vertical gap between the buttons. Now what you need to do over here, layout is set. Now you need to add the button as per region. We have already discussed in PPT. In each region, we can add only one component. So here, now for adding the component, there is a JFrame class method is add. Here I am writing that B1. I want to set B1 button in a north direction. So I am writing that border layout dot north and semicolon. Same way for remaining 5 button we will do. Button B2 is set in the south direction. B3 is set in the east direction. B4 is set in the west direction. And B5 set in the center direction. According to region, we have added the button B1, B2, B3, B4 and B5. Now next step, you need to set the size of the frame. As we already discussed in previous video, set size function, which contain the 2 parameter height and width of the frame. So I am setting the 300 as a height, 300 as a width. So this is my frame size. This frame contain the 5 button B1, B2, B3, B4, B5. B1 is in north direction, B2 is in south direction, B3 is in east direction, B4 is in west direction, B5 is in a center direction. So step number 8 is completed. Step number 9, if you do not use the set visible method as a true parameter, then you cannot see the output because frame is not visible. By default, set visible contain the false. So you need to compulsory to see the frame set visible become the true. Now here border constructor is completed because we have already discussed that step number 4 to 9 is performed inside the border constructor. So here the border constructor is already completed. Now we will take the public static void main method. Public static void main method, and I am just placing the string AR as an argument. Now inside the main method, I have created the object of border class, which is my own class. Now if I am click on the run button, see here my class is completed after main. You can see here. Now if I am clicking on the run button, it should be visible. You can see in the output B1 is in a north, B2 is in a south, B3 is in a east, B4 is in a west, and B5 is in a center. Now for visibility, that whether it is performed as per this criteria or not, I am suppose take an example. I want to take B1 button in center. I want to take B1 button in center. So I am placing that B1 is in a center. I'm just changing the region over here, and B5 is in a north direction. North, that means your topmost direction. So this changes should be visible on your screen. This is the output before we are changing. Now again I am running the program, and you can see here B5 is in a top and B1 is in a center. So this is all about the border layout basic with the basic constructor. Now as we have already studied that there is another constructor which contain the horizontal and vertical gap. Here we have used the default constructor for setting the layout. Now I want to specify the horizontal and vertical gap between the layout. Now as I've discussed that, I want to set the horizontal and vertical gap between the button. So I want to set the 15 as the horizontal gap. So in this constructor, we are writing 15 is a horizontal gap and 25 is a vertical gap. So just now see the difference in the output. This is the before output. Now again, click on the run button. You can see, observe the 25 is a gap and 15 is a gap between the button. So this is all about the border layout. I hope two constructors are clear. One is a default constructor and another is a parameterized constructor with horizontal and vertical gap, and we have written the program. Thank you so much.